I think he can hear you, Ray.
Don't move. It won't hurt you.
I feel the need for speed. Ow! So together we're the Three Amigos.
Right here. Stop.
Batman, what happened? Are you okay?
He's slimy.
It's getting hot in here. Is it just me?
No, go past this. Past this part. In fact, never play this again.
Good evening. Hello, Beard.
Hi.
I thought you were going to take care of this by yourself.
You know what? I just got a little scared. You know, I think you probably saw the last time you left this in my hands and thought, we really can't do that again. And you made time just to make sure that this goes right.
So you reached out to Cap.
Yes.
Well, if you can't tell, I'm not in my normal situation here. But we are After the Weekend. We are a movie review show where we review movies from our past childhood and relive our memories. As fun as that can be. So we're having
usually they're good memories. Usually
they're good memories. Yes, we've never really reviewed a movie that we hated, so that's a good thing. Well, some of us hate the movie, but not all three of us hate the movie.
Right.
But I am JT Gunn, and we have my fellow co-host
Beard of Liberty, sometimes Bread of Liberty if your autocorrect likes to mess with you.
Yeah. I am broadcasting live from a secret location on the East Coast, so I'm not in my normal area. And our other co-hosts are to the Icky. He's a little under the weather. He's okay. He's doing okay, but he's taking a little break this week, so he wasn't able to join us. And that's too bad because tonight we are reviewing a great movie, another fun movie in the Star Wars world. Wow, I know. I almost said the thing, and you did not hit. You did not do it.
I am so excited about Star Wars.
But
So-
I do have this.
Oh, okay. Nice. I like that. So, by the way, if you have been around the channel for a while and you've watched, this would be our first review of a Star Wars movie, and we used to be part of a Star Wars network, which is kind of funny.
You've just always been rebels. You
Always been
just
rebels.
always fought back.
Yes. So tonight, we are reviewing episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And the reason why is because this thing is 25 years old as of yesterday.
Yep.
Oh, the reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated. Oh, okay. So you are alive. Okay, that's good.
That's what the doctors say.
Yeah, I think he's okay. I think he's probably like this.
Rise and shine. And don't forget your booties, because it's cold out there today.
But we have George Lucas showed up for Star Wars.
The man himself.
Say hi to some people here. We got Aaron. Good to see you.
Howdy.
Here. And and R2 hanging out with us. Now 25 years, man. Can you imagine? Isn't that crazy? We did this before. Crazy. We reviewed other movies that are just as old. Lord of the Rings. We did those 3, right? I'm getting kind of weary here, always reviewing these movies where I'm like, I was in high school when these came out.
Yeah.
Like,
Let's see.
I'm a little kind of annoyed by it. So But yeah, Phantom Menace. This one was huge, right? Because this was the
Oh
first
yeah.
Star Wars movie since, like, brand new into theaters since Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And that came out in the early 80s, and this was 1999. This movie came out, so that was almost 2 decades before we had a new Star Wars.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody ever expected to have Star Wars again because it wasn't being milked like it is now, and we weren't quite in that era yet of remakes and unnecessary sequels, just like Hollywood being creatively bankrupt. So this was a
Yeah,
huge deal. This was a big surprise.
it was. And a few years before this, we got a little hint of it, but they re-released the three originals
Yes.
in the movie theaters, and that was cool to see that again.
Oh,
But even still, uh, that was in the early 90s, and we still didn't get a Star Wars. Now we had cartoons and some TV shows and things like that, but we haven't had this. Now I'm going to pause it here for a moment. I think we have another guest coming on here shortly. Beard, maybe you should make sure she's ready. But I remember when this movie was announced. It was kind of cool. It was like, wow, like I get my own Star Wars, right? This was like our movie theater Star Wars, right? So
mhm.
that was pretty cool that we're gonna get this. And all right, we got Lily here. She's ready to go.
What's up,
How you
guys? What's
doing,
going
Lily?
on?
Welcome.
It's okay. We're glad to have you on the channel. We're glad to have you here. Is this your first time on After the Weekend?
I think this is second. Last time I was on, I think with JV, right? I think it was.
Oh
JV.
yeah, you're right. Yeah. So we just got started, just kind of remembering when this movie was kind of first announced and when it came out. And I don't know if you remember when this movie came out. Did you get to see this in the movie theater?
I did. Yes, I did get to
Yeah,
see it
so
in the
did
movie
we.
theater.
Yeah, it was we I was telling Beard I think I was a sophomore in high school when this movie was released, and it was like, dang, that's a long time ago. And I was very excited though because it was like my Star Wars, right? This was when I had my movie in the movie theater, right? I was always like, my dad always told me about the older ones, how cool it was to see those in the movie theater right out the gate, And so we finally got something like that for us. I think it was very exciting that it was something neat. Would you agree on that, Lily, when this came out? Hello?
Oh my
Did
gosh,
we
I'm so
lose?
sorry. My internet is like freaking out.
We're all having troubles. Don't worry. I'm having
I'm
troubles.
like, sorry, my internet. I don't
It's
know what's
okay.
going
It's
on. It
okay.
was
It's okay. It's okay. We're all
yes. That's me a lot.
This is what happens when R2 is not around. Actually,
We're
when
all
either
on.
R2 or JT is gone, like you need to operate as a pair. When one of you's gone, things just go wrong.
Yeah. So, Lily, I asked, do you remember when this came out, or was this really exciting for you? Is this like a
Yeah, because for me, it was actually my brother. My big brother was the one that was super into Star Wars. So he got me into the original trilogy. So when this came out, he was the one that actually took me to watch this. So for me, yeah, like you were saying, that's like our Star Wars. So for me, this was like, oh my gosh, I finally get to see a Star Wars movie like in theaters. And then, of course, from all the posters and everything, we had Princess Leia, but then now we had Queen Amidala. So I was like, who is she? She looks so cool.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna get into all the characters and stuff, but yeah, she looked very cool. I was excited for, of course, the new bad guy, Darth
Yeah.
Maul. Beard, what was your what were you all excited about before the movie even came out?
I just wanted to see more Star Wars. It's very simple with me because I was that nerd who was like every moment he could, I had my nose buried in a Star Wars book. There were two book nerds in my middle school that everybody knew. There was me with Star Wars and this girl who eventually would become my friend who was the same way with Indiana Jones novels. And we were, she took it more extreme than me. She like would walk through the hall with her nose buried in the book, but I would just like read it at lunch. But yeah, so I was just flat out excited. More lightsabers, more space battles,
more
new CGI effects. And I was down, man, the entire thing.
Very cool. Yeah, it was super. So R2 here, he's helping out in the chat while he's out. The original teaser trailer was debuted in cinemas in November 1998, attached to Meet Joe Black. I remember that movie. And I guess people bought tickets just to see it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I wonder how many people left the movie theater after the trailer.
I wonder what the budget for Meet Joe Black would have been if it didn't have Star Wars at the front of it, or not the budget, the box office.
Yeah, Meet Joe Black was a good movie, so hopefully they got to watch it. And it was very exciting. There's 25 years. A new saga was beginning, and there was a lot of hype around this. I remember toys. I remember the action figures coming out, the posters. I think like even fast food restaurants had things about it, right? It was very huge. Now, there for the celebration of the anniversary, they released the movie in the theaters this year in May, and I think it's still in theaters. So you still have time to go watch it if you wanted to rewatch it. Did you guys get a chance to rewatch in the movie theaters at all?
I didn't make it out to. I rarely make it out to movies in general, but even to like the theaters, I don't think I've been since the last Star Wars movie betrayed me. Absolutely.
Okay. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
That one here.
Yeah. No. I'm sorry. I just kind of like stroked out for a second there. I'm making stuff up now.
I do remember reading the novel for episode 1 before it came out. The biggest difference between the two was an opening story of Anakin crashing Watto's pod racer. Oh, okay. I didn't know there was a book before. All right, cool. So I never got a chance to rewatch the movie, but I did rewatch the movie for the stream. Did you all rewatch it before we came on tonight?
I actually saw it in the theater. So my big brother took me to watch it, and I actually took my niece, which is his daughter, to watch it.
Oh, it's cool.
So we're just kind of going through all of the generations now.
Full circle. Look at that.
Yes,
That's
full
cool.
circle. That was like so cool. I actually wanted to cry. I was like, oh my gosh, your dad brought me, and now I'm bringing you.
That is great. That's really cool. I like that.
I like seeing that. You get that with certain films like this or franchises. Even if they hadn't created new movies, there was that opportunity at one point for people to take, like my parents took me to see these special editions in theaters. So it's got this kind of generational thing that it's this unstoppable force that you just kind of keep sharing with people as it goes on. It's great.
Yeah. So this was written and directed by George Lucas, which also made it really cool. And the music was done by John Williams again. And a lot of people thought, heck yeah. And it did have some pretty big actors. We'll definitely get into them coming out that people were excited about. So speaking of posters, I know Lily mentioned some of the posters.
On the left.
Here are some of the posters that were in the movie theater where you could buy at Walmart and put on your wall. I had the one with the shadow of Vader for a little bit. I do remember that one, and I know a couple of my friends had the one with everybody on it there on the right.
Yeah, I had that one.
You had that one? Okay.
Yeah.
I had the one on the right, and then my actual computer wallpaper was the one on the left.
Oh, okay. That was a very cool poster, right?
Yeah.
This poster came out before even anybody knew what was going to go on in the movie, and it was kind of a hint, like this little kid is just going to be this sinister, evil Sith Lord, and you're going to hear his story, and it's all going to start out. So there was a lot of hype around this, and
it's a real clever poster just in general. It's simple.
It is.
It tells you everything you need to know, and honestly, everybody already knows what's going to happen to him as a character. So it's not like it's a spoiler or anything.
Yeah, I just want to see his journey there, right? I want
Yeah.
to see, was he a good kid in the beginning? Like was he a good person in the beginning, or it was just kind of wronged, right? Did he go
Yeah.
through some troubles? Yeah, that's all. Yeah, so I think that's really cool. And then you had the other one that you had said you had you had Darth Maul just still looming in the background. Like, who's this guy?
Oh.
Right?
And
Yeah.
the art, I'm pretty sure that was still when Star Wars was being done by the posters were being done by Drew Struzan, and that's like the last great era of like really good like artistic movie posters in my opinion.
And it doesn't look like nowadays they all look the same.
Yeah.
People thought teen girls were going to mimic Princess Amidala's makeup. Lily, did you try to mimic her makeup?
Yes.
Oh, you did.
Yes.
So
Oh my gosh.
how far did you get? How far did you get?
Just the makeup. What's really crazy is that now I actually want to do like a full cosplay of this particular costume because I never wore it when I was little. Like to get a really cool one, I mean, you had to really shell out the money, and my parents weren't about to do that. So, so now that I'm an adult and I can make adult decisions and buy things I don't need.
So did you actually do the white makeup with the
Yeah.
blonde? Oh my
That's
God.
like the easiest part to do for the whole thing.
Do you have a photo of this that you can share?
I probably do somewhere. I need to go back and look through my like super old phones, and it's all grainy and
I would love to see that. I would love to see that.
I can't laugh at you too much for that because that makes a lot more sense than unathletic me going out into the backyard and basically pulling a Star Wars kid and trying to pull off a Darth Maul move and discovering at that moment what pulling a groin muscle feels like.
Oh no.
I wish I had a clip of that too. I would totally play it,
Yes.
but I don't.
It's that thing where he jumps
Do you remember?
back, like,
Do you remember the
his
Star
legs
Wars?
back. It was weird.
Do you remember the Star Wars lightsaber kid on YouTube? It was like the first viral video.
Yes. Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
Was that you, Beard? Was that you?
No comment. There's definitely not times where a buddy and I would take these leftover bamboo sticks that got like used for some decoration at my church and go out back and fight each other like we had lightsabers. That definitely never happened a few times.
Everything.
Hey, what's up?
Everything is a
movies? Good to see you.
lightsaber if you just try.
That's right. Anything could be a lightsaber.
Yes,
You are
every
absolutely
every single Christmas with the empty gift wrap things, the two.
Oh yes.
Every single year.
And those were the
Yeah,
best
yeah.
ones too, because you could actually just haul off and smack your sibling in the
Yes.
head. Nobody actually got hurt.
That's pretty funny. And the cool thing about this movie is we got to see a different lightsaber. We got to see the dual wielder.
Oh my god.
They
And we
spoiled
see that
that
in
in the
this-
trailers, though.
They did, but they got to do something.
Yeah.
But the 3D photo poster there came out 10 years ago for another re-release, but it was 3D. But that's a cool photo. That's really cool. And then you have another one here with the 25th anniversary. Looks pretty good.
Like
But yeah,
that
the dual
one.
wielding lightsabers was neat to see. Very cool.
I mean, if you were I'm not going to say a real Star Wars. If you were like let me say extra Star Wars nerd, then you knew about double-bladed lightsabers before. In the comics, you got to see that with Exar Kun when he goes after his former master.
Yeah,
But
and you
seeing it
also
on big
had
screen is a lot different.
they didn't. I don't think they hinted in a lot of the poster, but you had. I don't think it. Let me go back here. I don't think it was in the other poster, but they hinted that there was C-3PO and R2 and but they never hinted at Yoda, even though he shows up. So I thought that was pretty cool in the poster. Like they never really hinted that he was going to be in the movie from the poster, anyways.
Although the first rendition of Yoda before they replaced him with a better looking CG version was kind of jank.
They went away from the puppet. You are absolutely right. So we're gonna do the numbers and see how this thing did in the movie theaters.
11, 92, 12.
R2 says his name was XR what?
I'm not.
Oh, the Star Wars
He's-
kid?
No, never mind. He's trying to disrupt us even more.
He is. You know what? He needs to be put in timeout. That's it.
Move this man!
Don't boo a man when he's down.
Oh, I'm definitely booing a man who's down. All right. So the filming of this movie took place from June 26th to September 30th, 1997, and August of 1998, and also February of 1999. So it must have been some reshoots and stuff like that. And then it was, and then the production dates was January 1995 to March of 1999. So this was typically when we review a movie and we talk about the dates when the production, it's a short amount of time, right? This movie took almost 4 years. So they put a lot of effort into this. And it was released 25 years ago to yesterday, May 19th, 1999. So Lily, this is the time of the stream where we ask what the budget was. What do you think the budget was? And how much money you think it made in the box office? I know the numbers, so I can't guess. So let's see if the chat can guess, and maybe Lily, and maybe even Beard if he has not looked.
I flipped through the slides earlier, so I have looked. So
I'm gonna say, just because it was very CGI heavy, and that was like a relatively new thing at the time. Oh my gosh. Huh.
Yeah, see, I'm in your seat where you are right now.
Yeah.
The silence is where everybody just stares at me. It goes, well, we're waiting.
Because it was also the 90s, so it couldn't have been crazy like it is now.
Well, we usually have both the reported budget in box office for the time period and then adjusted for today. So you can get close to either one of those.
Like maybe 80 million?
Okay. All right. Beard, what you gonna try to guess or no? Anybody else want to guess in the chat the price?
Let's give them a second, because I did flip through here and I don't remember it exactly, but I remember pretty close. And I'm not going to pretend like I can play the game like that. It's rude. I'm not going to lie to you guys.
Okay. So Lily, you think it was 80? How much do you think it made? That's a good joke.
Is it what? Oh my gosh, I don't know if these were the ones that started with the like $1 billion.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was Star Wars. It was the first Star Wars since
I think it made over
80.
I'm gonna say it made over $1 billion.
Okay. I mean, it definitely ran.
Nerdy Neo says 5 million box office.
Okay.
Good to see Nerdy.
Box office. I don't think so. This was like new Star Wars, so I'm gonna say over $1 billion.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Ready? So in 1997, the budget was $115 million. Most of this was probably spent on Jar Jar Binks. and so compared to 2024, it was 223 million. And then the box office, it actually made $1 billion. And in 2024, it would have been close to $2 billion. So there you go. I don't know if this was one of the first $1 billion movies, but it made $1 billion. So
yeah,
that's a lot of money in 1999.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. Return on your investment.
Yeah. If R2 was here, he would probably tell us if that was a record breaker or not, but I didn't have time to look it up. But yeah, it could be. I think it was a record breaker at the moment. Hey, Theme Park, good to see you. So yeah, that's crazy, right? Like movies nowadays barely still make that much money. And they're supposed to be really good.
Well, I mean, people were going back and seeing this 2, 3, 4 times in the theaters. I mean, they kept it in the theaters for as long as possible. I'm pretty sure I saw it at least twice in theaters. So I was definitely one of those repeat customers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I saw it a couple times. Now, this movie also gets a lot of praise, but this movie also gets a lot of hate, right? A lot of people did not like this movie. It's not my favorite of the three prequels, but a lot of people were very disappointed in it. Some people thought it was a little. There were scenes that shouldn't have been there, or it was too long, or it was just boring in some parts. 15 times, huh? Wow, he must have really liked. Now the first time I watched this movie and I came out of the movie theater, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Again, it was my first Star Wars. It was good. I was excited for the second one because I knew there was going to be a second one coming. So I was happy about that. Excuse me. One of my favorite scenes was the pod racing scene, whole scene there where they're racing through the canyons. I thought that was really fun. But the scenes that I didn't really like was the political stuff, like in the amphitheater there and all the talking. That kind of like really bored me as a teenager, right? It's like, where's all the action? So I'm gonna ask you those two questions. What did you really enjoy about this movie? And what did you kind of really dislike about the movie, even though it was your first Star Wars? So I'm gonna start with Lily.
Let me see. What I'm like, like, let me get my list out. Just kidding.
Rick apparently left very confused and sad and disappointed.
R2 what? Well, yeah, I can. Back then, the first time that I saw it, yes, all the scenes where they were talking all the politics certainly did kind of bore me because I was younger. I didn't understand it. Watching it the second time, I was actually like, "Oh no, this is actually not boring." Like I actually understand
yeah.
now. But I would say that some of my favorite parts are actually the pod racing. I know a lot of people from the beginning had an issue with that because it was a very long scene. But it's entertaining. It's like super entertaining. There's a lot of action going on, and this is something different.
Yeah, and theme park says it here. The sound design of the woo, 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 that kind of stuff was so cool. Even as a kid.
Sometimes I hear traffic go by that makes sounds similar to some of the pods, and like I can go years. I can haven't watched that scene. And I'm just like, oh, that sounds like Sebulba's pod driving by.
Yeah.
Which if your car sounds like that, you need to take it to a mechanic because it shouldn't be sounding like that.
So
yes, that part, and then I loved, of course, the fight at the end between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and Darth Maul. That was just freaking epic. And then at the same time, the battles were all going on, like. That is just so exciting. And then what I didn't really like about it, oh man, I want to like be nice to Jar Jar, but watching it again as an adult, I can't.
He's so. I feel so bad for that guy. The character.
He's just. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was. They should have introduced him a little later in the movie, and they should not. He was just in there a lot, and I don't know why. Beard, what was your favorite and dislike of this movie?
Well, I mean, when I first saw it, I really didn't dislike much of it. Like y'all said, the political parts that are kind of key for setting kind of the downfall of the Republic and how Palpatine gains control. They're kind of critical to the story, but yeah, they weren't really excited. I wanted to see lightsabers. So, that was kind of a slow bit. I do enjoy the pod race. I understand people think it's too long. I prefer the extended version. It just looks great. It is fun. But I think...
Wait, what did you say? What did you say?
No.
That's what she said.
I'm not going to repeat it. I see the gleam in your eye. I'm just like, oh, no.
You said you liked the extended version.
But yeah, it's really difficult to not have the Duel of the Fates be the favorite part, just because it's so good. And I broke this movie down kind of in detail on a stream a couple weeks ago with Gord King, and actually I forget who pointed out. You start seeing because Qui-Gon is always living in the moment, and Obi-Wan's too busy looking in the future, and you can actually see that in their fight at the end where Qui-Gon doesn't ignite when they're all cut off. He doesn't ignite his lightsaber until the moment the shield drops. But because he's living in that moment, but Obi-Wan is looking into the future, what he needs to do next, and he ignites his lightsaber before the shield drops. There's like actually lots of little things in that fight that play very true to their characters. That just kind of gets overlooked because it's flashy lightsabers, and it's really cool.
Yeah. So really old movie says I was too young to have seen this. I was 1. Oh, good to know. But I do remember watching it on VHS as a kid a lot. Yeah, so I did the same thing with the originals. Watched that thing so many times. And then we have another comment here. Archie says Michael Jackson was supposed to maybe play Jar Jar. He would have been better.
I think he was going to do the voice because Ahmed Best was always he was originally just going to be the physical stand-in. But then he came up with that voice, and George liked it. And so he just went with it. Yeah.
So when I rewatched this, I forgot how cool the first scene was when Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon show up there at the like trade base, I guess. And they start right away just, doing Jedi sensing, and they got the cloaks, and you're like, and they reveal themselves, right? They take off their hoods. It was such a cool intro to the movie, I thought. And when I rewatched that, I was like, I totally forgot about that. I was like, oh man, I totally forgot about that. Because like you see these Jedis, and you're like, who are they? Who are these two Jedis, right? And then they, they decloak, and they start cutting down doors and pushing droids out of the way. And I just thought that was such a neat intro for the movie when I rewatched it. I totally forgot about that.
It's a little
everybody at Lucasfilm needs to watch that movie again, because how many doors did he go through with that lightsaber that were how thick of metal? And now everyone can take a lightsaber to the gut and survive? Like, really?
I mean, he did survive for a little while after taking one to the gut.
I'm like, sorry. I promised I wouldn't get angry.
Hey.
Everything they do is magic.
Okay.
Oh, Tabitha.
So anyways, we this had a good cast. I say I'm pretty sure I was excited for the cast when I heard who was going to do the movie, especially for the main core. You had Ewan McGregor, you had Liam Neeson, you had Natalie Portman, which were young actors. We're not really young, but they were new actors coming up. And then you even had Samuel Jackson, which I thought was kind of crazy. I was like, he's in a Star Wars movie? Like, that was kind of neat. And then there's quite a few other here's listed. And then you had Jake Lloyd that just got done doing Turbo Man. And this poor kid, man, they didn't do him any favors when they put him in this movie, I don't think. I think he just got some really weird dialogue, and he was a kid, and I think he got a lot of hate for no reason. I'm wishing they would have just made Hayden Christian younger and just made him a teenager, and not had this little kid who's very new into the acting world go through such a movie like this. I don't think they should have done that. But that's my thoughts anyways. So who are you?
Bad though. I mean,
I know, but he got so much hate that he stopped acting.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of that initial hate also kind of came from the media. Everybody thinks it was the fans immediately that turned on him, but I mean, overwhelming. You can see by the numbers, overwhelmingly, most people enjoyed the film. It's only kind of like later on is like that the repeated negativity, or people went back and saw the flaws in it. Or like we saw, it says, you grow up and suddenly Jar Jar is not funny anymore. Then the opinion of the film kind of changed. But yeah, I don't really remember too many people just going around complaining how terrible Anakin was.
Yeah, and Natalie Portman was pretty hot at the time. She was coming up and as a young actress. It was neat to see her do this role. I thought she did pretty good. But then you had other actors in here. That were really great.
I'm so glad they got Ian McDermott come back and actually play Palpatine again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was cool, right? You kind of gave it away, but you knew it was him. But then you also had Warwick Davis was in it again.
He was actually two roles. He was a cameo next to Jabba the Hutt, but he was also the little kid Rodian that was Anakin's friend.
Yeah, and the same guy who plays C-3PO and R2-D2 were in this movie, so that was kind of a callback to the older movies, and I thought that was pretty cool. So there was a lot of people that came back from the originals that I think really put the cherry on top of the movie. I think so.
Oh, and we also got to say Ray Park just kills it in the fight scenes as Maul.
Yeah, he was really good. Yeah. So, who was your favorite character or actor, Lily, besides Natalie Portman?
Probably Obi-Wan. I really liked Obi-Wan, but the older I get, the more I understand Qui-Gon.
Yes.
Yeah. he's like Squidward, right? You're like
yeah. Squidward, but like the positive version.
Yeah.
That's like things are gonna happen, and sometimes you can't change that. You just gotta accept it.
Yeah. He was so like chill too. He was like, "Hey, we're just gonna go over here." Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
he was so like
Obi-Wan. When you go back and watch it, Obi-Wan in this movie is kind of a jerk. When he meets Jar Jar the first time, he goes, "What is that?" Not hi. And then like Qui-Gon goes back to pick up Anakin. He's like, "Why do I feel we picked up another pathetic life form?" He's like, "Man, you're a jerk."
Well, he's very young, right? He's young. He's eager to do things. Like he's an eager Jedi, right? And I think he played that well. He played that part well.
Well, but I think you do see him evolve in the films after he sees Qui-Gon die, because he takes on a lot more of Qui-Gon's personality traits and how he kind of handles the Force and things like that.
And then when you see him in episode 3, A New Hope, or episode 4, A New Hope, you see him completely different person, right? He's more like Qui-Gon. He's completely changed.
Mm-hmm.
But
you are right. Watto, yeah, he was always funny.
Watto's such a mess. He's such an awful well, he's not a person, but he's so awful.
Yeah, and then you had Skywalker's mom. You had Anakin's mom.
She did such a good job too. Like, her scenes always make me like cry.
Yeah, there's that scene where he goes, "Mom, I'm leaving. I'm out," and then he's like 10 feet down the road, and he's like, "Wait," and he turns around and he runs back to his mom, and he's like, "Why can't you come?" And you really feel that moment, and if you're a parent, you even feel that moment even more, and that's when you get to see that Anakin. Yeah, he was just a kid. He was just a normal, loving kid, and he just got corrupted, right? So
I think she did really good with her dialogue. Liam Neeson and Ian McDermott also did. I think those three handled. But I think if we're honest with ourselves, George isn't the best at writing dialogue. He got away with it in some of the other films because he had other people kind of work with him on it. But at this point, he was total control, and not too many people were willing to go up against the Force. No pun intended. That is George Lucas. But I think those three, just their ability to act, elevated their dialogue more than maybe some of the other actors were able to do. They did good jobs.
Yeah, so here's some more footage from the movies. From the movie, there might be kind of small for some of you, but there were some really cool scenes or scenery, I should say. Like when they showed Naboo, like for the first time, I thought that was pretty neat. And then you had when they showed that one in the upper left there with the dual fates with the doors with the laser doors. I mean, that was such a cool thing that's showing them run through.
I mean, it's a very video game kind of obstacle, but I don't care. It looks great.
Even the scene where right there where they're showing Darth Maul in the desert, it was kind of neat. Like it was they use CGI as a benefit to show these great sceneries, right? The older movies didn't really have much of that, and I think that was cool that they were able to show these dynamic angles of these locations or rooms or spaceships and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty neat. So
they really made the whole universe feel big and bright.
Because it was supposed to be, right? Like when Luke was doing his thing, it was kind of dark and gloomy, right?
Yeah.
And this age of the Empire or age of this world was supposed to be bright and kind of not, right? Kind of not gloomy at the time. So
Right.
very cool.
I mean, some people nitpick at it like, oh, why was technology better? And it's because they took over and they like wiped out things and removed people's ability to have nice stuff. And
you can compare that to the Dark Ages. Before the Dark Ages of our own civilizations, the Greeks, the Romans, the Egyptians, they had some really epic stuff, right? Probably really pretty things. And then something happened in the Dark Ages where we all became just dirty slums, and we lost all that creativity. Where people treated us, they didn't give us information, so we can invent things. And then we had the Renaissance after that, when people finally rose up out of all that darkness. So it's happened in the real life. So it doesn't surprise me that it happened here.
I do want to point out something, because I was looking at that picture of Palpatine, that I can't believe nobody points out, because a lot of people give Jar Jar hate because he basically is the person who turns makes the motion to turn the Republic into an empire and everything like that. But yeah, all he does is he just kind of leans in and just like the devil he is, just puts a little whisper in his ear basically, and he does the same thing to Amidala in this movie to get himself elected chancellor, and nobody gives her crap for falling for his
he literally does the devil's whisper. You are absolutely right. He does kind of creep around the corners, kind of say things that aren't true,
and you can see the change in his mannerisms again, acted very well, because once he is leaning forward and just behold the true, he
would just come out of nowhere. But yeah. So here's some more scenes here. You got Yoda. They did update him, but then you have more makeup with the princess there. You've got Darth Maul, and then you've got Yoda and the baddest mother effing Jedi in the universe, Samuel Jackson there. So did you like when Anakin was flying around? I thought that was kind of whack. I was like, this kid can't be flying this ship. This is crazy. Did you like that?
But R2 was helping him.
Oh, that's right.
Well, that's part of the reason the pod race scene actually matters, is because it shows his aptitude. But there's also a couple of lines that where when they're in the Naboo ship, where he's like, oh, this does this and this does this, he's talking to the pilot. So they do kind of set it up that he has a little bit more knowledge. But that pesky R2 is always getting people into trouble.
Yeah. So we have another guest. He came in a little late.
Glad he could make it.
We have Shadow of the Hawk here to join us. He good to have you on the channel. Good to see you.
Sorry I'm late. I was a dumbass, didn't wear sunblock for lifeguard training, and I've been dealing with a really bad sunburn.
Oh,
okay.
Fun.
Okay.
I should do,
well,
of course.
It happens to the best.
Rule 1 of lifeguarding: wear sunblock.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us, and I'm the worst of us. So of course it happened to me.
It's okay. We're glad you're here. We're kind of in the we had a good part of the set stream, and we had a few questions. I'm gonna rapid fire you. Since you're late, you're gonna have to answer them really fast.
Okay.
Okay. So one, were you old enough to see this in the movie theaters?
I think it came out in 1999, and I'm 20. So do the math on that.
No.
I knew what your answer was going to be to that question.
Yes, me too.
So were you watching this mostly on VHS then? I would get, or DVD?
No, actually. My family has a deluxe edition copy of the prequels and the original trilogy. We've got some of the remasters, but I think also we've got original copies of the OT. I'd have to go digging and see if I can find it, but I remember finding it a year ago, going through some of our old DVD cases, and it's holy crap, this is the original OT with none of the remaster stuff that George Lucas did that everyone hates for some reason.
I was 20 when it came out. Yeah, I was in high school. Yes. So Shadow, here's another one for you. Now, what part of this movie did you like the most, and which part did you dislike?
I can't when I first watched it, or how I am now.
Let's go with the first watch.
Well, the first watch, I was a dumb child, probably not even in first grade yet, so I probably liked all the moving stuff and all the flashy stuff, and I probably didn't like Padme because she wasn't a Jedi or a soldier or anything like that.
Did you hear that, Lily?
Because I was because I was a dumb child who wasn't even in first grade. Now, with a more mature opinion, my favorite aspect is, and I feel like this is going to be a really weird one, but the Battle of Theed, I think it is one of, with the Gungans and the droids facing off, I think that it is, in regards to its pacing and its handling of tactics, while very rudimentary, is one of the best large-scale combats we have in modern cinema. And then as to something I really don't like, Anakin being as young as he was, because I think he's 10 or 12. I think if he had been 14 or 15, some of the stuff involving him would have been a bit more believable, in my opinion, because it would have been more believable that a 15-year-old with the Force, as powerful as he is, could do some of the stuff we see him do versus a 10-year-old, considering that I have taught 10-year-olds to swim, and they are not very bright, to say the least.
But he's a special 10-year-old. No, I would agree on the teenage thing. We did kind of mention that earlier, that I think he was just kind of at the wrong age to be.
It would kind of throw everything off, though, wouldn't it? I mean, he's already too old to be trained by the Jedi, is why they didn't want to accept him in the first place. So if he had already been 14 or 15, imagine they'd be like, nope, because at that point you've already pretty much established what's wrong and right and all that stuff. It's harder to kind of
here's a thought. If they would have had him maybe kind of picked up when he was younger, instead of maybe his mom was living in an area where the Jedi kind of knew who he was and they kind of observed him from afar, and then maybe when he got to a certain age, it was kind of like Harry Potter, right? You get the letter from the owl, and then he gets to show up. Maybe if they did it that way, it would have been a little better. But
yeah, that would that would kind of require shifting around certain details, because I mean, the Liam Neeson, Qui-Gon Jinn finding him was a complete out of left field. Anakin by the plot line that George Lucas had is an impossibility. He should not exist. He should not have been trained as a Jedi and stuff like that. Which is why I think, honestly, him being as old as he is could still work. 11 years old, 15 years old, it doesn't, I mean, there is a little bit more maturity and development there, but ultimately, the Jedi rule of we want them young and impressionable, so we don't need to drug them up when we send them into war zones, so that we don't need to worry about morality. I mean, because they want you to have no attachments and be only for the Order. Sorry, I misspoke, Freudian slip. They could have,
okay.
They could have shifted it around a little bit better, I think, even if they made him 15, and it would have plugged up a few more holes. Especially since the whole you got to be 3 years old to be.
That's what she said. Michael.
Saw it coming.
Sorry, we're not a very mature
Walked
bunch
right
here.
into that one.
No worries. I'm used to a lot. I'm used to way more degenerate and immature streams.
It's okay. You're good. All right. Well, you answered those pretty good. I'm glad you were able to join us. Now was this Darth Maul was that character that everyone was really excited about, right? They were like, who is this dude? He had the dueling wheel.
Makeup doesn't match. Oh, I'm looking at the makeup and it doesn't match.
Oh yeah, it's a little different, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And once you started seeing this in high definition, you really started noticing all the molding that's holding those horns to his head that doesn't quite match in with his skin.
I just ignore it now.
Hey, it was the 90s. It was the 90s. But he was such a cool character, and I wish he would at least. I wish he would have died, or at least came back in some way in the second movie. I wish he would have been here a little longer.
Did you watch the Clone Wars show by chance?
That's so cool.
I watched a little bit of the cartoon. I know he comes back. I know.
Yeah.
I wish in the movies. I wish he would have been in the movies.
Yeah, totally fair.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have a little bit of consistency between it's just such a shift to go from him to Dooku as the second hand. character.
Well,
I know, right?
There's two reasons behind that. First, they wanted like the Jedi to think, oh well, we dealt with the Sith. George really wanted the and I'm probably speaking to the choir here. George really wanted the like decadent failing order thing. Which, you know, if Maul escapes for a second film, they're going to be on guard. They're going to be watching for the Sith. And how have we not tracked him down in the 10 years? He's got to have some resources and contacts. And then as to Dooku, that kind of ties back to another failing of George's being he wanted to tell a very political story. And Maul, I mean, it's even in his name. He's not a political animal. He is just an animal, a rabid attack dog that you sick at a target. He can't do politics the way Dooku did.
No, he's basically just an assassin.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
But this is the problem with introducing some really cool characters is that this was my issue with Dune 2 as well. You introduce one of your best characters, one of your best villains towards the end of the movie, and then you kill them off. And that sucks because you never get to see them again.
Yeah.
She's obviously talking about Princess Arulin.
Yes. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Because the same thing happened. Like when I was watching it again in the theaters, like all super excited. I was like, wow. I never realized, like, watching it at home, how very little screen time Darth Maul actually gets.
He does. Yeah. You don't see him very much.
No.
Sometimes he's a hologram. So he's not even like standing in the building.
And then he gets killed off.
Mentioned it a while back. I can't remember exactly where it is, but the Ray Park didn't do the voice for Maul, but the guy who did do the voice, there was supposed to be a whole lot of other lines that ended up getting cut. So there was at least at one point more Maul in the story. But
yeah, I mean, I guess.
But this scene when they were fighting, it was, I think, sealed the deal for this movie. I think it was just such a cool scene. There was a few bad parts of this movie, but I think you can pull a lot of good memories from this movie, and I think this is one of them. The pod racer scene, like you said, and the battle.
Credit to Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor for being able to keep up with Ray Park in these fight scenes. Because, I mean, how when you have somebody who's more proficient in stunt performance, they can elevate the actors who may not have the skill up a little bit, but the actors more often will bring them down because they have to move slower and do different things because the actors can't keep up with them. These guys put in the work and they keep up, especially once Qui-Gon struck down and Obi-Wan gets in there and just goes nuts on Maul. That is chef's kiss.
Can you imagine if they had somehow brought Darth Maul back in Revenge of the Sith fighting Hayden? Oh my god.
Spectacular.
Hayden is like insane with the lightsaber.
I think you nailed it on that one. So we do another segment on here. We call it In the Theaters. So we're going to find out what was in the theaters when this movie came out. I'm trying to remember, but we actually have a list.
Shut your drums and stop kicking us face! We're trying to watch the movie!
All right. So in the movie theaters, obviously this was number one. We said earlier this made close to a little over $1 billion in 1999, which was amazing back then. But the other movies that were in the theaters at the time, the second movie was The Mummy, which we have reviewed.
Mummy.
Such a very, very great movie. You have Entrapment there. You had The Matrix, was also in the movie theaters. I'm pretty sure that also was close to $1 billion too. So those, I mean, think about that. In our childhood, when we were younger, The Mummy, Phantom Menace, and then The Matrix, that was like a thing that everyone wanted to. Those three movies everyone really liked, right? They always say those are like our favorite movies.
I mean, we've said it so many times when we do this segment. It's just like, man, you just don't see that kind of lineup anymore.
Yeah, you even got Trippin' on there. I mean, I remember that one, Trippin'. So then you have I think you have Analyze This, which was another fun comedy. You have 10 Things I Hate About You, which was
I love 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah. So you do have a good handful of movies here.
Oh, you have all these like girly movies I watched too. Shakespeare in Love, Never Been Kissed.
Yes, Nerdy Neo. Someone did say The Matrix. You are.
What is Tea with Mussolini? That sounds like my kind of movie.
Oh my gosh, you would.
I actually don't remember that one, but
I don't remember that either.
Oh, I think
Sounds
Life
about-
was the movie with Eddie Murphy, where he was he went like it was like in the 30s and 40s. He went to like prison with Martin Lawrence. I think that one was actually pretty funny too.
Oh, that's definitely not a movie for you, Shadu. It's got Cher in it.
For those of us who were not born to see certain towers fall, what is Cher?
Oh my gosh, you don't know who Cher is?
When you start describing them, I might recognize what you're talking about, but like, yeah.
I mean, Cher's been around for like 100 years.
She's a singer. She's a singer.
Yeah, she's a singer from the 70s.
70s. Also, if you look down here, Never Been Kissed was another girly movie.
I love that movie too. It's so cute.
Well, you were just living your best life when all these movies were coming out, weren't you?
Yeah. No, what's really funny what's really funny is that I was probably more interested in The Phantom Menace and The Mummy at the time, but then when I actually got older into high school and I rediscovered like 10 Things I Hate About You and all of that, then I was into it.
This was a good list of movies. Like you would have a fun weekend, even if you were not a Star Wars fan. You were seeing something good in the movie theater, I would say. So yes, and Shadow, you were not born yet, so
Election was funny.
You didn't get to experience the fun movie theater experience here.
Sadly.
Sorry. Oh yeah, when we actually had to stand in line for hours to get tickets.
Or when you actually could, hop movies and get a good one.
I mean, I can't speak for you, Shadow, but I kind of imagine that when you mentioned not knowing who Cher was, you were bracing yourself, because I think most other panels you're on, when you say something like that, everybody just comes down on you hard.
Coin flip. Some panels are understandable, and some panels grab them all and beat me within an inch of my life.
Oh my god!
We won't beat
Lily
you here.
Is understanding at this point. I think Beard, you're really chilling. I think JT. I mean, judging by how he looks, JT, I think is just too tired.
Hey, Phil. Hey, Phil Connors. Ned.
What?
He's got clips for everything. Just don't ask questions.
I'm not going to ask questions other than JT. I understand.
Well, thanks for saying I look tired. I mean, geez, wow, man.
You've been traveling.
I know.
I've been traveling.
Oh, that's understandable then. I
apologize.
I apologize for bringing it up then.
Oh man.
Why is the rum gone?
Anyways, so now we usually on when we do a movie review, we actually review it on Criticlist, and I am going to try to do that. To be honest, if I can sign in here, it probably won't remember me since I'm on a different computer.
Oh, you guys are on Criticlist too?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. We are on Criticlist.
You know what? I actually have open, so I can find you right now.
Yeah. Okay, I got logged in, so here we go. I am going to share our screen. So, what we normally do is we do our final thoughts on Criticlist, and if you don't know what Criticlist is, basically it is a movie review site where you can review any movie really, and you can give it a scale and everything. And it's at criticalist.com, and they're a big fan of the channel, and we're a big fan of them. So we're going to do that here. See if we let's see if I can find it first. Why did I not find it?
Yeah, I thought I was going to have to pull up my own personal Criticalist profile to do this on the show when I wasn't sure you were going to be able to be here.
Well, if I can spell correctly, maybe I can do that. So hold on.
Oof.
Let's see here. Let's see if I can.
I agree for the most part, Steve.
I actually do have a question on the topic of holding up. I recently rewatched like a bunch of either dedicated movies. Like I rewatched, I watched the Warcraft movie, for instance, recently, or I would rewatch specific scenes from like the Phantom Menace or the Hobbit or Attack of the Clones. And I know that a lot of people really, really don't like the CGI from them, but personally, at the very least, I'm very nostalgic for it in the sense of like that is a specific era of having that kind of like campy, they don't really know what CGI is good for yet vibe. Does anyone else feel that way when watching movies like that?
Maybe.
I'm much more forgiving when it comes to revisiting older movies, that especially during that like era of, like you were saying, really trying to figure out CGI. I mean,
It does
one
hold
of my
up.
favorite,
Yeah.
one of my favorite movies is The Last Starfighter. It's the first movie that I did when I first showed up on this show, and I still like the CGI in The Last Starfighter for the most part. If you can't revisit an old film that is doing new things with new technology without
Steve
viewing it
Rogers
with that
says
same like mindset, it's going to be difficult to watch. But
still
I
holds
think
up.
it's good.
Yeah, I agree.
So here we go. We're gonna go ahead and do our final thoughts on criticals.com. So I hear sirens. Do you hear sirens?
They're after me.
Oh yeah, who's getting arrested? Just kidding.
All right, so here we go. It's again. I'm in a hotel room. Who knows what's going on?
Oh.
All right, so this is what we're gonna do. So we are going to start probably pretty close around here. I would say to most excellent or rad. Beard, what do you say? What should we be? Excellent, rad, or we down?
I think I'd let the guests weigh in on this.
Okay, Lily and Shadow, are we in the rad, most excellent, or are we in decent?
I say here? Lily says something first because Pearl before Swan.
Nice.
I'm trying to decide only because out of the 3 prequels, this is not my top favorite.
By the way, this is my wife's favorite of the 3.
I would say, man,
and maybe, she actually liked these. Go ahead.
Maybe on the higher end of rad is probably where I would put it.
Would you agree, Beard? Were we in that 79, 70 range here?
Somewhere up there. What do you think, Shadow?
So I'm going to be the fly in the ointment, evidently. I would say upper end, whatever middle is, lower end rad, just because it's not a horrible film, but it doesn't really hit the chord that George sought out. Like, he wanted something very politically thinking as opposed to philosophically thinking, and then certain things like Jar Jar didn't really land as well as they could have.
R2, you're not on the show. An opinion.
I don't.
No, Shadow, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't hate it, but I'm also like, I mean, I'm not gonna, like, in my opinion, something that's like an upper tier rad would be like Pacific Rim, and then something that is like in the extremely amazing would be like the entirety of the Lord of the Rings trilogy with the director's cut. And I can't in good conscience put Phantom Menace, which dropped the ball on a lot of its factors.
Well, me and Beer, it's me and Beer's channel, so we're gonna say 72.
That's why I said I'm the
okay, so and then there wasn't there's not very much graphic language.
He made it
in this movie
child friendly.
Yeah, there's a little violence, right? Because someone gets cut in half.
Yeah.
There's really no sexual content in this movie. No. And then I would say it's very family friendly, almost 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say it's entirely family friendly.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, probably not all the way because someone does get cut in half a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
we'll go right here. We'll go in the middle there.
Then.
So here's our review, and we'll go ahead and submit that, and then I will add the YouTube link later. So if you're coming in late, you could rewatch. But there it is. There's our review of Phantom Menace on the After the Weekend account on Criticalist. Again, Criticalist. You can go to criticalist.com and submit your own review of the movie, and they would love to have you out there if you're not already a member of that.
I mean, they're not a sponsor. They're just fans, and Blaine's a cool
totally
dude.
just fans. Yeah. Well, there you go. We're gonna wrap it up now. But Lily and Shadow, I'm gonna give you a few moments to kind of share what you've got going on coming up this week. So Lily, we'll start with you. What you got going on?
Basically just keep a lookout on my Twitter at 300 Mirrors just to see what's happening because I'm not really too sure what I'm doing now.
Okay.
I'm like, since I finished school, now I'm like, yeah, I have more time now. So
by the way, congratulations on
Thank you so much.
That's so great. So
I like lost all concept of time right now. So that's why I'm like, just keep a lookout on Twitter.
Really?
But for sure, Dames and Dorks every single Thursday. And we do have it on Nomi's channel right now. We're still trying to figure that out, what we're gonna do with that. But yes, as for that one's the only one that I have that for sure every Thursday. Everything else, just keep an eye out on Twitter.
Perfect. And Shadow, what do you have going on that you would like to share with people in the chat?
Well, I'm the Shadow of the Hawk. You can keep an eye on me on Twitter as Umbral Pidgey the White. As long as I don't say things that make Twitter too mad. On there, you can see a link to my coffee page. Sometime the next week or two, I will be. Sorry about that. Something just startled me. I will be dropping a new installment to a Wandering called Kick the Dust Up, wherein the main character, Griffard, will be fighting an army of jihadists. It makes a lot more sense when you actually sit down and read it. And then on my YouTube channel, I will be debuting the first of hopefully many D&D streams, Sword Coast and Sorcery, with myself as the DM, my brother, my former roommate, a friend of mine from childhood, a really cool dude in the Warhammer community called Cornelius, and then a guy who DMs for Nadia's campaign on Saturdays, Magic Man as players, set in the world of, D&D, Forgotten Realms and all that. 8:30 U.S. Central Time on Wednesday night. Be there if that sounds like something you'd be entertained by. And then just random stuff that I announce on Twitter.
Very cool. Well, we were very happy to have you on the show and review this movie with us. Beard, this was fun, right? Again, if you missed the first start of the show, this was the first time we've reviewed a Star Wars movie on After the Weekend. We've been holding out, and Beard suggested this, so we said, we'll go.
And we're not doing another one until it's another big anniversary. So y'all just gonna have to wait
next year. Episode 2. So anyways, everyone, again, you can catch us here Monday live. I don't know what we're doing next Monday. We're not quite sure. R2's not feeling very well, so we'll see. We'll try to see what we got going on. And then on Saturday, this coming up Saturday, we will have a Weekend Harder. I'm sure that will be a bunch of nonsense and fun as well. But everyone, thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm going ahead and Beard, did you have someone coming up besides us? Do you have something on Thursday? I keep forgetting because you're all over the place.
Yeah, everything's a little bit kind of unknown this week. Usually on Jacob Ironside's channel Tuesday nights, but he's doing an afternoon show tomorrow. I'm going to try to make it because he is just in time because he's bringing a couple of folks from England over, so a couple of folks from across the pond. Thursday, usually I'm on with Roman. Haven't heard anything about that yet. He's been having some stuff going on, so he's having to skip some days here and there. Unfortunately, that clashes with Dames and Dorks. It's just only so many days and so many time slots. So it's just inevitably you end up going up kind of.
You can always rewatch them.
The rewatches are always there, and they're just as good in my opinion. Exactly. But who knows what else I've got? I might be doing another Sunday show with Stark of Iron, because we didn't quite finish our Fallout Vaults discussion. So kind of like with Willie, just follow me on Twitter, Twix, X, whatever the heck you want to call it, at Beard of Liberty. And if I know something, it goes up there.
Okay, very cool. All right, everyone. Also, Shadow, did you get a fax? Everyone's asking in the chat. Did you get a fax?
No, that was so like I said, I've got a really bad sunburn. I've got like an ice machine from when, different people in my family had to get surgery. It's like really the only thing aside from medication that makes existence bearable right now.
Wow,
oh my god,
you must have gotten really sunburned.
I am predisposed to getting sunburns, paired on the fact that it was apparently a high UV day. I've got blisters.
Been there.
Okay, we're gonna end it there. Everyone, thanks for hanging out with us.
Sorry if that's TMI.
Again.
Sorry if that's TMI.
If you haven't hit the like button, do that, please. If you're new, hit the subscribe. And we'll catch you later next time on After the Weekend. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Truck to refrigerators to dumpster, 360 spin onto the palace, backflip gainer into the trash.
This is it. Man, big just relax and have fun with it.
design.